welcome back. So today is another TBR video, as I'm sure you've seen from the title. Today I'm trying out, well, for this next month of August, I'm trying out a new thing for my TBRs. I was watching Penelope the Paperback Cat a lot recently, and she designed this website called the TBR Machine, and it basically just is a random prompt generator for your TBR. So I thought that I would try that out for this month. I went with 5 total prompts and just 5 books, which is not a lot. I mean, looking at what I've been reading for this last month, I'm over 15 books, but I'm supposed to be starting to study for the GRE because I'm hoping to get it into a master's program, and my application will be coming up soon. And so, since I'll need to be studying for the GRE and stuff, I thought I'd be a little less ambitious with my reading, so that I for sure have time for studying. Also, I've been in much more of a writing mood lately than a reading mood, so I figured this at least helps guarantee that I get some books done, but at the same time is also acknowledging that I want to be reading and have some books that I'd like to try to get done next month. So let's jump right into it. The first book actually that I have on my TBR, I guess I lied a little bit because I do have more than 5 books, but I do have my book club that I've been participating in, which obviously anyone else is welcome to participate in as well, and we've selected our book for that. Our first book, or our only book for the month of August, is going to be Where the Crawdads Sing. I've heard sort of people talk about this, so I'm curious to see how it goes, especially since I did actually try the audiobook a few months ago, and I couldn't really get into it, at least audiobook-wise, so I'm curious to see if I'll like it better, like actually reading it, or if it'll just be a frustrating read all around. But, yeah, I'll be reading this with my book club, and I'll be doing my typical thing of posting sort of discussion, either with questions or without, depending on how I'm feeling like the book is going. But I am running the discussion again with my book club, so I will be asking questions, so I'll probably at least post those within the videos, like comments or whatever somewhere. So that's that one to look forward to, which I don't know if I am looking forward to or not, but I get to read it for the whole month of August, so at least it'll be broken up if I don't end up liking it. Moving away from my book club stuff, we have moving on to my 5 books / prompts that I'll be doing from the TBR Machine. First up, we have read a book with blue on the cover. My book that I did for a book with blue on the cover, I actually took to Twitter because a lot of the books that I have from the library right now have blue covers. So I was half debating if I wanted to do just like a full TBR of every single book had to have a blue cover. Twitter said no, though, and they ended up picking for me We Are the Ants, which I got as an audiobook because now that I'm back to working in the office at least every other week, I need stuff for the long drive to work. So I'll be listening to We Are the Ants over the course of August. I don't really know much about this one. I'm pretty sure this is one I've heard other people on BookTube talking about, and that's why it's on my list. So we'll see if it's any good and if it's a topic or anything that I actually like, but I'm looking forward to it. If nothing else, it's nice to have audiobooks when I drive, because sometimes the radio gets really annoying and I don't like having quiet in the car. So this will be a nice one for while I'm going to work, if nothing else. Moving on to prompt number 2 from the TBR Machine, we have reading a book by an author that you have disliked a previous book of, and or just the author in general, I assume is what the prompt means. So yeah, let's hop into that. Alright, so for a book that is by an author of a book that I disliked, I decided to go with A.G. Riddle, which if you followed my reading rush, I read his Winter World and pretty much hated it, but I also don't really like space travel books. If I'm reading a sci-fi, I much prefer that the sci-fi be based closer to the reality that I know. Especially as a microbiology major, I like stuff involving cells and genetics. So I prefer things that are closer to that vein, and A.G. Riddle happens to have one on Kindle Unlimited called Pandemic that is much more related to those things. It's about the CDC and the WHO response to a global outbreak, which seems fitting considering our current circumstances as well, but also then because it's like a global outbreak means it's a lot closer to the type of sci-fi that I prefer. So that's what I went with for that one. And then the one that'll be after that is to read a non-fiction book. In the interest of being diverse for my nonfiction, I don't honestly know technically how this counts in the traditional vein of it, but I am going to read Zami, A New Spelling of My Name by Audre Lorde. It says it's a biomythography, which is why I don't know how much it counts technically as a nonfiction, because I've never heard of a biomythography before, but I assume it's some form of biography, so I'm going to take it, and I'm going to go with that, because I've really been wanting to read some Audre Lorde. So that's what we're going with for my nonfiction. And then the next prompt that I have is going to be to read a book with food on the cover. Reading a book with food on the cover is where things get a little bit silly, because as it turns out, I don't really read books that have food on the cover, so I went with the next best thing as far as I could, and that is I just recently got When Dimple Met Rishi from the library, and she's drinking like a tea or a coffee or something, so I was like, that's close enough to food, especially since all the other things that I had were stretches like, oh, this one has a bird on the cover and you eat birds, and so no. Also, this lets me read diversely because it's an Indian book, and I really am excited about that. I love Hindi movies and stuff, and I haven't really gotten into Hindi books, so I hope that this is a really fun one and will really suit my tastes because of that. And then after that, we have my final prompt that I got, which is to read a book with a beautiful cover. We're taking back what I said before a little bit, because I actually have two that I'm going to do for this prompt instead of just one, because they're both very short, and the one I've already started reading, so what can you do? So let's get into it. What books do I think have beautiful covers? The first one I thought of was this, which is Binti by Nnedi Okorafor. I don't know that I said that right, but I'm super excited for it. Look at this beautiful cover. It's just so pretty. And from the little bit I've read, the cover very much matches like what happens in the book, because the main characters, like people, it's part of their culture to like rub this dirt stuff that I've already forgotten the name of on their faces and in their hair and stuff. So I think that's what the cover is representing, but it's just, oh, it's so beautiful. I love this cover so much, so I'm very excited for this one. But again, since it's a short one, and I've technically already started it, I figured I needed a little bit more to do for that. And so we're getting to one of my most exciting books, at least for me, that I'm looking most forward to for next month, and that is Pet. I've heard so many amazing things about this book, and everyone's raving about it, and again, look at that cool cover. Those colors are just awesome, and I'm really excited for this one. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I'm just super excited to jump into this one and see where we go from there. So yeah, that's my August TBR that was picked by the TBR Machine, so I'm looking really forward to it, and I'll probably end up reading more than this, but again, since I should be studying for the GRE, and since I've been in more of a writing than a reading mood, I figured we'd keep the number count low, and then if we read more, great, and if not, at least I set the bar low, right? Anyways, let me know what your August TBR is looking like, if you've got any fun books that you're super looking forward to, if you happen to have read any of the books on mine and what you thought of them. I'd be happy to hear about it all down below in the comments. And I think that's all I've got for now. This is the Umlaut Harper, signing out.